Okay. So last week we saw how to work with the SQL commands, like constraints we have discussed, insert, update, delete, those things we have discussed. Today's session, let us try to understand um, how to do the operations using ADO. Okay. Uh, New program.
Sir, SQL కంప్లీట్ అయిపోయింది సార్.
లేదు, we will
Okay, sir.
continue.
జాయిన్స్ చెప్తా అన్నారు కదా సార్.
Next class లో చెప్పు.
ఓకే సార్.
Continuous SQL కాకుండా we can mix up both
Okay.
ADO.NET.
ఓకే.
Okay, so today class, what are we going to say is, in before classes, we saw how to insert the values into a database table using .NET. And today's class, let us try to find out other ways how to update the values. Okay, means if you have employee table, uh, emp ID, okay, take a text box like this. Mm, name, okay, so this is the pattern. So what is the requirement is, here you need to enter employee ID, here name and salary. When you click on update, it has to update the database table. So we know how to insert, right? Now we are focusing on updating and delete, how to do them. Okay. So this we have to do it using ADO.NET. Okay, from front end to back end. Okay, so this is what we were going to see. After completing this, today I will assign some assignment, try to do it for tomorrow. We can see how to work with that. Okay, so first let me design a table, SQL table. I think we have table. I will try to use the same table. Okay, so let me create a new table. This table does not look good. Okay, it's taking time to delete. Let me create a new table. The ID in activity 1 Hmm. Okay, so I have taken 3 columns and let me insert the values. Insert into. Okay. Okay, so we have created this table. So basically what we need is we have to okay, so we have to update the values. Maybe I would like to update Naresh name and salary, Striker name or salary. That we need to do it from front end. Also, we are supposed to delete the values also. Okay, so let us design the so let me design the form. So I'm trying to design the form in this way. Okay, employee ID, name.
Sir,
Yes.
is the employee ID necessary in this form because we have put in auto increment, right?
No, in order to update, you should know which employee you need to update, right? We are not inserting, we are updating the values.
Okay, okay, okay.
To modify, you need ID.
Okay, just for updating purpose.
Yes, which
Oh,
employee. So basically how employee IDs would be defined is in real time, EMP 123, EMP 124, like this IDs would be there. It depends, Shregal, actually. Instead of taking the ID, suppose if you have additional column email address, then instead of email address, you can take, instead of ID, you can take the email address also. You just need to know the way you would like to update it. In order to update, I need a condition. That condition I am taking ID as the reference. Got it?
yes, sir.
Hmm. I will assign more examples for you. In future, what are you supposed to do is here in this text box, you don't need to display the text box. Here, you have to keep a drop down. In the drop down, whatever employees is there, all that list, you have to bind it to the drop down. So then you need not enter this value. Then you need to do the same operation. We will work on all those examples. You guys just need to initially understand how to do the basic insert and update. Okay, here I would like to give it as the update. Okay, one thing. The second one is let us try to rename the text boxes. text emp id, text ename, text e set. Okay, we have taken the all those values. Okay, so when I click on this button, all these things need to be happen. Click on the button. Okay, so first thing is you have to import the namespace from NuGet package. So right click on Windows. So these concepts already we discussed it, so that I'm not going in there. System.data.sql. This is the namespace you have to import. Select it and install. Okay, so this one is finished to install. Okay, so here you have to write the code. So whenever you work with ADO.NET, the first thing you have to do is you have to import the namespace using system.data.sql client. Okay, so if you remember, we said when you work with okay, we said what are the classes that we need to work. SQL connection class, SQL command for now. Maybe in future we have to work with SQL data reader, SQL data set, SQL data adapter. Okay, so we are not at this part. As of now, we need to work with these two classes only, but try to focus on this. Okay, so first thing is you have to create the SQL connection class. SQL connections CN equal to new SQL connection. So within the connection, you have to pass user ID equal to Kanna. I am not sure what is my user ID. Kanna. Password equal to Kanna@123 and database. Which database I'm trying to connect with? And name of the database is .NET Learners. Okay, so this is my database name. So I have to pass the database name. If you're working on the same mission, you don't need to give the server name. But if you're working in the remote real-time architecture, server equal to, you have to give the server name. See, you need to copy the server name in this way. Okay, from here. Okay, some of you may not able to see the server name. If you don't see it, click on this drop down, browse for more databases. From here, you need to search. Okay, so this is the connection string, SQL connection string, and you need to open the connection. Okay, you need to open the connection. Then we have to write the query, string query equal to. So you need to update the query. First, let us see how to update the query in backend. Then we see how to frame it in front end also. Okay, so this is the SQL table you have. If you would like to update EMP, set is the keyword. See, these commands already we discussed. I request you to go through the videos if you don't remember. Set sal equal to what is the new salary you would like to assign? I would like to assign 15,000 and name equal to, I would like to change Naresh name to Naresh-1 where ID equal to 1. So this is the query you are supposed to frame it. If you run it, one row affected. Okay, you can see name is updated and salary updated. So the same thing, and I would like to do it from the front end. So that query you have to write. Okay, so when you do the real time, don't do like this, but to make you comfortable to understand, I'm doing this. In the double quote, copy paste your SQL query. Okay, this is your SQL query. But what makes the difference here? This salary, I have to take it from the text box. This text box, I have to take it. So do that change. Just do the concatenation plus, okay, and EMP text EMP sal dot text, so that it will take the salary from the impact. And this should be the integer. By default, it takes the integer, string format, right? We need to convert into the integer format in this way. Okay. So this is the format. For name also same. Okay. For name also same. Don't take the name, whatever constant name you have, you need to enclose it in the double quotation like this. And as names need in single quotation, right? If you look at name, you need it in single quotation, so that you need to put single quotation on both the sides like this. Here, text ename dot text, so that here the employee name will be replaced. And then ID also. Okay, instead of keeping the static values from query, we are trying to make those values from the text boxes in front end. Okay, like this. And this should be in the integer format. Okay, like this. Now query is framed. See, try to compare this query with the backend. Okay, so what I did is I'm trying to replace wherever I have the constant values, I'm trying to replace with the text box values. That's it. Means if you know how to work in backend, it is very easy to work in front end as well. Instead of keeping 15,000, I am taking this value from text box. Suppose in the text box, if I enter a value 8,000, that value will replace here. And the new name I would like to update, instead of giving in the name text box, I would like to keep the name back like this. And ID, I'm taking from the text box. Whatever ID you are giving in the text box, that ID will be placed here. Now the query will frame in the same fashion. So whatever you do in the backend, the same thing I'm trying to do it through my front end also. Okay. So then you have to use SQL command to execute the SQL query, so that this query I have passed it as the parameter. If you guys want this query, whatever query you are writing here, that directly you can write here also. Okay, in this query also you can write it. Okay, then cmd dot execute non. Okay, that's it. Now the query will be executed. Now we will see different flavors of the executing code. We will check them one after the other one. How to bring up the best practices. We will try to bring it up, and we will work accordingly. Okay. So first see the data is updating or not. Then we can see the other flavors of it. Okay. So run your application. Okay, so employee ID 1, Naresh -2, and salary 20,000. Okay, okay, I have assigned it. Click on update. You see, Naresh 2 updated, salary also updated. Okay, here I would like to do few changes. Okay, what are the changes I need is in the form. Okay, in the form, you are not knowing, right, whether the data is successfully updated or not. So I need to put a label here. In that label, I would like to display it's successfully updated or not. Okay, let us see. First one is you have to key in the employee ID. You have to key in the employee ID. Some one I'm giving. If I update, that would be fine. One exists in the database. So one exists in the database. What if I give ID number 10, if I try to do something, click on update, then what happens? This employee does not exist, right? Then it has to tell me back, no employee exists with the given ID number. Whatever ID I'm giving, it has to tell me like the ID exists or not. So that practice we have to include. So that is the best practice. So first one, you have to put a label on top of the form. Okay, so go to the toolbox. Okay, try to put the label. So to this label, what you can give it is, so remove the default text so that we can't see it. And name of the label, you can keep it as the result. Okay, just like result. Okay, so you don't see anything. So in the button click, okay, in the button click, here, type int result. See, I'm not discussing these concepts because already we discussed it. Okay, result equal to cmd.execute non-query. So what cmd.execute non-query can do is, it will try to return number of rows affected after executing this query. Okay, executing this query. If, okay, result is equal to 1. Okay, result is equal to 1. Okay, means one row is affected. Okay, means one row is affected. Then result dot text equal to, I don't keep the result, that is confusing. Let me rename it as the label result. Label result dot text equal to emp data updated. Okay, successfully updated. Else no emp data exists with ID. So here try to bind the ID, text box ID, text emp ID dot text. Okay, that's it. Now what happens is, when this one is executing this pattern, okay, when this one is executing this pattern, whenever it don't find the record, okay, whenever it don't find the record, it will try to tell us the data does not exist. Okay, so just run the application. This time I have added debugger also. Okay, so employee ID to, and try to assign a name, Segal -2 and salary 50,000. Like this. Click on update. See, it will open the connection. It will try to connect with the database. It will open the connection and the query will frame. See, if you focus at the query, it would be same as the way you are writing in the backend. Okay, how you write the backend, the same thing. We can see it from here also. Okay, so command class will take that. See, the query will be executed. See, as of now, the result equal to 0 because line number 27 is not yet completed the execution. Press it. See, now result equal to 1. Then what it will do is, it will say EMP data updated. Okay, here you can say EMP data updated. Suppose if I give a number 4 like this, if I try to click on update, then the result will be 0 or -1. Not sure which one. So it is 0, still 0. Then it will come to the else part. Because no data is affected, it will tell you like, okay, no EMP data exists with ID number 4. Okay. So this is the way to update the data. Okay. And if you want, you can do more operations. Once if the data is updated, you can clear the existing values. Text emp name dot text equal to empty. Just remove the focus. Text sal dot text equal to empty. Okay. So one Naresh -3 and give the salary, click on update. Okay. So it would clear the things like this. Okay. So are you guys clear how to update it? Yes or no? You can speak out. Let me know if you have any doubt in this part.
Yes, yes.
Oh, fine. Oh, fine. Now, let us see how to delete it. Okay, how to delete it. So to delete the commands from backend, this is the way you need to do it. You would like to delete a row from the backend. Delete from EMP where ID equal to 1. Okay. So this one will delete the data from respect to table. Okay. So if you select it, you can see only one record. Okay. So in order to delete, what I will do is, let me choose another button. Okay, let me choose another button. And name of this button, I would like to give it as the delete. Like this. Okay. Now double click and delete, you need to write the comments. See, up to this same, right? Same SQL connection, I have to open it like this. Okay. Then you need to write the query, string query equal to. Okay. So copy the query from backend and going forward, don't make this habit writing the query in backend and coming to frontend. You need to write it manually here actually. That's very bad practice, writing query in backend and bringing that query to frontend. But in order to understand for you, I did like this. You need to understand how the query is framing here. So update EMP set, okay, set. Sorry, this is delete command, right? You need to write it. Delete from EMP. Okay, you need to write the command where ID equal to, okay, where ID equal to like this. Convert to int 32 and where you are trying to give the IDs. Yes. Okay, like this. Now SQL command CMD remaining are same, only the query changes. Okay, so we need to pass the query, comma, CMD. Then the same thing you need to put here also. Okay, so you need to execute that query. Okay, if result equal to 1, EMP data, delete it. Okay, like the same thing. So we saw how to update and we need to understand how to delete as well. Okay, so we have ID number 2. Let me insert Naresh again. So just insert. Okay, we have ID number 3 and 2. Okay, so let me give ID number 2. Anyways, we don't need name and salary because we are deleting. Okay, EMP data deleted, and try to see it only one record exists. Now put a debugger and try to see how this one is working in deleting command also. Okay, delete. So if you focus the mouse, see the query, delete from EMP. If you copy this query and try to compare with your backend query, it looks almost same. Okay, so both are same. So this is the bit tough part you need to adapt. Okay, how to frame this query using this plus or minus those symbols. Maybe in future we will avoid this plus also, but it will take a couple of days time to reach that part. But till that, you try to do the practice with the basic words. Okay. So what is the idea I have given? See ID 2. It seems ID 2 does not exist here because ID number 3. Okay, cluster does not exist. Let me give 3. Okay, so EMP data is deleted. Then try to say no data exists. Okay, so this is the way to insert and update the values. Okay, now how to see the data? Okay, how to see the data in table format means whatever data you have in the backend, okay, whatever data you have in the backend, that data I would like to see it in the front end in the same tabular format. Okay, remember, same tabular format. Okay, then we have to work with then we have to work with SQL data set and SQL data adapter. These two things we have to work. Okay. Before that, I would like to introduce one more concept, that is, okay. So ADO.NET, based on its architecture, okay, based on its architecture, we divide into 2 categories. So we can divide into 2 categories. Those are called as connection oriented and disconnection oriented. Okay, connection oriented and disconnection oriented. So what is the meaning of it? Connection oriented and disconnection oriented. See, if you look at the queries, few queries that you are already working. Okay, SQL connection CN equal to new SQL connection. You are trying to open the connection. See, after writing connection string and all, maybe here you have to put the connection string user ID and all. Okay, you need to put some connection string here. After writing here, you have to write a code cn.open. Okay, you need to write this one. This kind of code where you need to open the connection, just keep in your mind like this, you have to open the connection. This kind of queries are called as the connection oriented architecture. You should open the connection. Even you can write few other queries. Okay, you can write few other queries. The same thing. Okay, the same thing. You need to write the connection string, but to write the query, to execute the query, you don't need to open the connection. Okay, don't need to open the connection. Okay, here you need it, here you don't need it. Okay, so if you need to open the connection manually, and if you need to close the connection manually, then this architecture is called as the connection oriented architecture. You should be able to open the connection and close the connection. If we don't need to open the connection manually, then this is called as the disconnection oriented architecture. Okay. So that is very big concept, not big concept. Before we go to that part, I want you guys to do some practice. Then I will try to explain how they works in backend architecture. Okay. So, but here try to understand. Few times we have to open this connection. Few times we really don't need to open this connection. If we don't need to open the connection, then we call it as the disconnection oriented architecture. So the classes works on connection oriented and disconnection oriented are different. Till now, we saw how to work with the connection oriented architecture. So the SQL command, okay, SQL command and SQL data reader. These two works in the connection oriented. At this moment, you know what is SQL command. You are still not sure what is SQL data reader. Before we go that, I would like to give you guys some time to practice. We will discuss this in future classes, SQL data reader. The other hand, SQL data adapter and data set, these two works in the disconnection oriented architecture. Okay, means if you write something using SQL data adapter, you don't need to open the connection. You don't need to open the connection. Means like this, you don't need to open the connection. Like I said, I will let you know the difference, but before we go that, just do little practice on this one. Then we will discuss in detail about connection oriented and disconnection oriented. In interview point of view also, these are very important. So basically, to perform action commands, okay, actionable commands, then mostly we work with the SQL command, okay. Non-action commands means only you are seeing the data, you are not doing any changes in it. Then we have to work in the disconnection oriented architecture, means we have to work with the SQL data adapter. Instead of using SQL and ADO.NET terminology, to speak it in the plain language, if you would like to if you would like to insert, update, delete, reading the data by row, then we have to work with the SQL command. You would like to see the data in tabular format, means you see in the backend how you are seeing the data like this. So in the backend, you are seeing this data, right, in tabular format. If you would like to see the data like this, okay, if you would like to see the data like this, then we have to work with the SQL data adapter. We can do vice versa also, means whatever SQL command is doing, that we can make using SQL adapter also. And what adapter is doing, that we can do with the in reverse also. So basically, it is possible to do vice versa, but that is a different concept. Initially, we were discussing the basic purpose, then we can discuss about the customization. But initially, just inject to your brains for insert, update, delete, and read a single line of row from the backend. In order to update, to fetch the recent data, you have to use the SQL command. If you would like to only selecting the data, present it in tabular format in front end, then you have to work with the SQL data adapter. Okay, adapter. So this is the difference between connection oriented and disconnection oriented. We will discuss in detail tomorrow about connection oriented and disconnection oriented. Before that, I request you guys to do some practice on SQL command and SQL data adapter. Now let us see one way how to work with the SQL data adapter. So here basically what I need is whatever data I have in backend, I would like to display the data in front end. Okay, in front end means in this form, I would like to display it. So I will make some adjustment to my screen. So just to adjust the okay, right. First one is I would like to take a button. I would like to take a button. Name of the button, I would like to give it as get data. Okay, get data. Then see, in order to present the data, okay, sorry. See, I did changes to the form. Earlier, I keep it to one side. Okay, I just keep it to one side. So I have taken a button. I have taken a button. To this button, I have given name as get data. So to display the data in tabular format, okay, in tabular format, there is one control which is called as the grid view control. Group data grid. See, you say this data grid view control. Drag and drop to the form. Okay, drag and drop to the form. Like this. So basically, when I click on get data, it has to display the data in backend in the tabular format in my front end. Okay, so till here same, you need to do the connection string. Okay, connection string. And this is the disconnection oriented so that you don't need to write this statement cn.open. It will taking care about automatically open the connection and close the connection. Okay. So this is the query you need to execute. Okay, copy the query. And second one, we said in the disconnection oriented, we need to work with the SQL adapter class. Okay, we need to work with this class, SQL adapter class. Okay, so write SQL data adapter DA equal to new SQL data adapter. And DA is the name of the object. You can give any name. So in the double quote, you have to write the query. So this is the query to execute and followed by connection object. Okay, like this. See, SQL command and SQL adapter, this can execute the query in backend. The role of this one is executing the queries in backend only, but it has no capability to capture that information, to store that information. See, you went to buy some daily needs, maybe some vegetable market, or you went to some supermarket to buy your things. When you go there, you need to pay, and after you get all your grocery items, you need something to hold all those items, right? Just like cover kind of thing. Okay, you need a just like carry bag or something. You need to hold all your items, right? In similar fashion, in ADO.NET also, SQL data adapter, it can execute the query just like you buy all the items. But how do you capture it? Where do you store it? And how do you carry the items from supermarket to your home? That is where the concept of DC. Here it is different. You are not saving anything back. You are executing the query, that's it. You are seeing the result is executed or not. But here, not like this. You are executing the query. After you execute the query, your SQL server returns this table. It is giving back something in tabular format. You need to capture that one in front end. Okay, you need to capture that in front end. That is where we have to use a class which is called as the data table equal to new data table. So basically, what is data table is after executing the query in backend, whatever data it is pushing back, it can hold the data in the same format in front end. Okay, it can hold the data in same format in front end. For that purpose, we have data table. We do have data set also, but I will let you know the purpose of the data set later. But remember, data table. Basically, what this data table can do is this data table can capture the data which is there in backend. Okay, in the same format. See how you see the data here in the same format. If you would like to see the data in front end, you need a class which is called as data table in SQL Server. Okay. So now, but where is the data now? The query is executed by this one, and the data can be stored to this one. See, two different words. Query is executed, data is transferred from backend to front end, and the data can be stored here. But how to map them? The data in DA, it has to be filled into the data set. Okay, it has to be filled into the data set. For that, write da.fill dt. Now what happens is this one will execute the query. After executing that query, whatever result is there, that result will be pushed to data table. Now data table will capture the data. Yes, data table will capture that data. Now, once if the data is captured, okay, once the data is captured, we need to display the data in this grid. Okay, we need to display the data in this grid. So change the name of the grid. Grid EMP. Okay, grid EMP. Now you need to display the data in this grid. Now EMP grid dot, so EMP grid dot data source equal to means in the EMP grid, I have to display the data in tabular format. As of now, where is the data source? The data source in the DT. This is executed the query in backend. The result is pushed back to the data table, and that result pulled by backend, I'm trying to put it in DT so that data source to my data grid is the DT. The data source to my data is the grid, the DT. This is just like you collected all your items, okay, but you do not cover it. You do not cover it. By using this, what happens is we have guided the EMP grid but the data will not hold yet. If the data will not hold yet, in order to hold the data, emp.data bind is the method we have to use. So I really don't need. So we don't need to bind it, but maybe in ASP.NET, in web application, we have to bind it manually. But here in ADO, it's not asking. Maybe architecture difference, I guess, but we don't need to bother about it. If it is web application, you have to bind the data manually. Okay. Now just try to run it once. Okay. So if you click here, whatever table you have in the backend, okay, whatever table you have in the backend, that we can see it from the front end also. See, if you look at these two, okay, it's not adjusting, but you can see it, right? See, whatever you have in the backend, the same thing you can see it from the front end also. ID, name, and salary. Okay, so this is the way to present the data in tabular format using front end. It need not be binding all the data. Suppose if you would like to see only employee name and salary, that also you can do. Name and salary, but make sure the column names are matching, name and salary. If we give empty name, that would be the error. Okay, like this. Suppose if you run this application now, it will only bind name and salary. Okay, like this. It depends. So whatever query is executing, that will bind it. Okay, so you have to be very clear actually what commands that we are using. Mostly we will work with SQL connection, SQL command, SQL adapter, SQL data table. The other one you have is the SQL data reader. Okay, so SQL data reader we have to discuss. We understand how adapter works, dataset works, SQL command works, but we need to see it yet. Okay, that we will see it in tomorrow's session. But today, let us try to focus on few other things. So you have to be very clear. Okay, which command I have to use for which purpose. Okay. Okay. Now, few things we have to concern here. The first one is, if you look at, you are writing the connection string here. Okay, you are writing connection string in these places. Okay, so like this assumes that you have 100 plus buttons like this. Maybe you are updating so many tables. So maybe you are trying to, basically you have n number of clicks, button clicks or something like this. Okay, so if we have 100 plus connections like this, after doing all this project, what if you change your password? You can do that, right? Always you are feasible to change the password. So do you need to go all 100 places and do you need to update the password? It is very horrible. The other one is, when you develop this project on your local machine, maybe you have username this one and maybe you have this password. What if you try to host it on the live server or on client machine? Because client may not use the same ID and password. Okay, maybe the ID and password would be different for your client missions. Then how to deal with that? Because you cannot go all places, you cannot keep on changing, and that password change may occur multiple times also. So it is very hard to manage this kind of situations. So there are two ways to do that. The first way is, okay, okay, not two ways, there are many ways. I will let you know one of the finest ways. You right click on this one, add new item. Okay, new item. You will have one file which is called as the application configuration file. You say application configuration file, add to your application. Okay, add to your application. Okay, add to your application. So once if you add this app config file to your application, you will see an XML based file. If you are not aware what is XML, just take it light for now. We will discuss in future. Okay, here you have to use something which is called as app setting. Okay, app setting. It has two parts. Which is called as app setting key. Sorry. Okay, app setting. So within that app setting, you will have two parts which are called as add key and value. Okay, you just have to type in key and value like this. Okay, add key and value. In the key, user defined, whatever name you want, you can give it. In the value place, whatever connection string you have, the basic connection string you have, copy that connection string. Okay, copy that connection string, put it in the value. Put it in the value. This is like the global variable. Global variable means all our application level setting, all our application, you can use it anywhere. Okay. I will let you know how to use this one. Now, see, you have to add the application configuration file. In the application configuration file, this tag will come by default. In that tag, you have to add app setting. Okay, app setting. In that app setting, you have to add a key and value pair. Key and value pair. In the key, you can give any name in the way you like it. Generally, people will give CONN SQL connection like this. And what is the value of it? SQL connection string. You have to give like this. Now, go to the form. Here, don't give the connection string. Okay, don't give the connection string. You have to read the value from application configuration file. From here, you have to read that value. In order to read that value, you have to import a namespace, which is called as using system.configurations. Okay, system.configuration. You have to write it on the top. Instead of putting this connection string directly here, you have to read it through the configuration file. Okay, so configuration. Okay, configure manager dot. Configure manager, basically what it will do is, it will try to read a value from the app config file. In app config, you can add different elements. One of that I want to read is the app setting value. See, app setting is the one of them. In the app setting, I would like to read it. Hey, I would like to read it. And which app setting value you wanted to read, this particular value I would like to read. So this you have to give it in double quote here. Okay, double quote here, and convert that one to string form. Okay. Okay. Now the same thing you have to write it in other places also. It is showing some warning, but you can ignore it. Okay. Yeah, just try it. Say same thing you can see. So what is the advantage you have now in future? If you do any password change, you need to come here to the configuration file, do only one change. Here, only do this change only. That will automatically affect to entire application. Wherever you need the database connection string, every time you write the same line only. And when you try to give it to the client machine, you need to give the client ID and client password and database and the server name. That will automatically affect to these places. So basically, we don't need to do the multiple changes. So this is how the database structure works. Okay, so you should not write the connection string manually here. Okay, this should not give the warning also, but I'm not sure. Present a text sequence CTF characters. Okay, I'm not sure. It is giving some kind of warning here, but you can ignore that one. Okay, remember, you can write n number of app settings. So basically, the purpose of app setting is not to maintain the connection string. Any value, if that is applicable throughout the application, if there is a value which is common to entire your application, then we have to put that value to here into the app setting. Okay, suppose, okay, like this. You can add multiple, but make sure you have to take the different names. Okay, branch. Just like for namesake, I'm giving one of them. Okay. CSC like this. Maybe this is the config value you needed. If you learn DevOps or something in future, then you will be realizing more what is the purpose of this one. Okay. We have different concepts. You know, when you develop a website, we have different concepts like dev environment, QA environment, production environment, okay, and UAT environment like this. The connection string changes from one environment to another environment. Then you have to do so that is totally a different concept. I don't want to discuss about it. That is the DevOps concept actually. So I mean to say, here you can add any number of app settings. One of them I have used is for the connection string. Similar to that, there may be few other settings, configurations which are common all over your application. Then you can add them also. So this is called as key value pair. You need to give a key and it has a value. And this is the value to be used. To access this value, we have to go through this key. Okay. So here we have user key. Maybe in some other location, if you would like to see this value, okay, this value, the same thing, okay, app configuration dot app setting, instead of giving CONN, you have to give the other name. So basically, the purpose of the app setting says, to maintain the application level configurations. Okay, application level, if there are any common values to be shared, then we have to work with the app settings. Okay, so this is the way you have to work with the insert, update, delete, and select operation. See, we have discussed how to insert, how to update, how to delete, and how to get the data, how to read the data in table format also. We do have another couple of concepts in ADO.NET. Then we discuss advanced concepts. Okay. So as per my plan, by end of May, we should be able to complete course. Maybe for MVC, we need little time after that. 1 week like this, but I will try to complete it by end of May without losing the quality of the training. Okay, so this is my best. I mean, from my end, I don't say there won't be other people who can provide you the best training, but from my